Hey y'all, it's Congressman Greg Casar here at the United States Capitol, where tonight the government is about to shut down. House Democrats are all here, ready to fight to keep the government open and protect your health care, while Republicans have fled. They're on vacation. No House Republicans that I've seen here in the Capitol. In fact, I think there's more mentions of Trump and the Epstein files than there are House Republicans here in the U.S. Capitol on the eve of a government shutdown. I know a lot of people have said they don't know whether Democrats are really ready to stand up and fight or what we stand for. But today I'm proud that we're united to stand up and say no to kicking 15 million people off their health care, no to 20 million Americans having their health insurance premiums double, no to clinics and hospitals closing, no to Trump's corruption and his complete abuse of the Constitution and rule of law. Today the Democrats are standing up and fighting back, and Republicans are on the run.
All right, everyone. Well, it is 10:15 here East Coast time at our nation's capital, and there is definitely a weird and silent vibe here on Capitol Hill. The Senate has closed out its business for the night. The House is still closed. None of the Republican House members are even here, and we are headed for a government shutdown. In fact, the government will shut down in about an hour and 45 minutes. And this is not America's best day, let me say that. I want to explain how we got to this point, because I think there's a lot of confusion about the mechanics of this shutdown, in part by intention, because the Republicans are engaged in a lot of performative politics right now to try to make it look like they're actually acting in good faith when they're not. In fact, they held 2 votes on the Senate floor this afternoon on a budget deal they knew, number one, was not going to pass, and number two, the House is not even in session. So even if there was some sort of agreement to get a bill passed, it would still have to come back here to the House, and the Speaker of the House shut down the House. We had votes canceled. He did not call his members back to Washington, D.C. In fact, they're not even in this area. You know, they're scattered all across the United States. So even if an agreement had been made in the Senate today, it's clear that they wanted a shutdown, or they would have called the House back in session. They would have actually recalled the Republican members of the House to Washington, D.C., but they didn't do that. In addition to that, the president canceled meeting with Democratic leadership last week. It was clear that everybody was in agreement that that was strategically a bad thing to do, because it made them look like they wanted a shutdown, which they do. And so the president had this performative meeting yesterday in the Oval Office, and then went on social media and posted this absolutely disgusting AI-generated post demeaning Democratic leadership, demeaning the defense of healthcare for millions of Americans, demeaning the fight for our constitutional rights and democracy and keeping the government open. And it's a sad day for the United States. So the director of OMB sent out a notice just a little while ago telling the agencies to initiate shutdown policies. And it's very clear that the White House is looking to use this opportunity to freeze additional funding, to shut down programs, to try to mass fire federal employees. They have made no secret of that. In fact, they've been bragging about it. The president himself and national media today was bragging about using the shutdown to shut down federal programs and to fire federal employees. And so we want everyone out there who is a federal employee, there are hundreds of thousands of you who are going to wake up tomorrow and likely see a furlough notice, and we are also deeply concerned that they are going to initiate mass firings in the coming days. We want you to know that you have rights, and that the federal workers unions have filed a lawsuit already tonight to try to seek an injunction against mass firing should they occur. pursuant to the OMB director's directive that he sent out a few days ago, and we're going to continue to stay here at the Capitol. Now, I want to make clear that the Senate leadership, the Republican leadership, believes that they can pick off some more Democrats in the coming days. And so rather than trying to pursue a bipartisan agreement to keep the government open, to address this healthcare crisis, they instead are going to continue to hold votes over the coming days in the Senate. But I want to make clear, the House is not in session, which means they are not negotiating in good faith. They are basically trying to force now senators to flip and take their deal. So that is what is actually happening here in Congress right now. And it's going to be a long couple days. I know it's scary for a lot of you out there, especially for all of our federal workers. We want you to know that we stand with you, we're proud of you, and that we're here in the fight to restore our democracy and to defend our federal programs and to stand with the American people. So that's what's happening here on Capitol Hill on Tuesday night, September 30th, shortly before a government shutdown. I hope you all get some good sleep, and I will see you all tomorrow.
Guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for tapping on my video when you saw it. Please, if you're new, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and follow for more. So the US government might shut down unless Congress agrees to a funding plan to keep government operations running. A government shutdown happens when there's disagreement over spending level policy issue tied to the budget, and if shutdown happens, employees might work without pay. Business will be forced to be on a pause. Do let me know what you think in the comment section.
So the government might shut down unless Congress agrees to a funding plan. Let me break it down for you. So the government might shut down tonight, September 30th at midnight, if they do not come up with a funding plan. So normally every year, October 1 is the new fiscal year in which Congress votes or they approve a budget during that time for the remainder of the year, the entirety of the year. However, the Republicans drafted up a bill and did not include any input of Democrats and said, yeah, here you go, vote on this. Yeah, and the Democrats said, no, we're not doing that. So what's going to happen is the Democrats have chosen to not sign or to not vote on this bill, which may cause a government shutdown. And I know some of you might say, well, I thought the Republicans run the House and the Senate. Yeah, they do. However, they still need at least 7 Democrats to vote on this bill. Now, mind you, this bill or this continuing resolution will only be allocated for 7 weeks. And then they will go back to the negotiation table. So this whole government shutdown is only for, I guess, 7 weeks of funding, if they decide to vote and get their 7 Democrats that they need to vote on this bill. And then it's back to the drawing board, again, in the hopes of another government shutdown if they do not agree to terms, right? Now, the Republicans don't want to fund health care. They just said, we done with it, we away with it. We don't want to extend any more help to Medicare, Medicaid. And basically, the Democrats are like, we need Affordable Care Act premium subsidies. Now, I know you're probably thinking, what is an Affordable Care Act premium subsidy, right? So a premium subsidy is basically financial assistance to families of a household size and income that do not qualify or would not be able to pay for these healthcare subsidies. So the Democrats want an extension on the Affordable Care Act subsidies, and the Republicans are saying basically go to hell, which is really not ethical because on these appropriations or continuing resolutions, they're supposed to be a bipartisan agreement where both parties or both sides, Republicans and Democrats, kind of come to some sort of agreement, right? So I know you're wondering, well, what does it really look like? Mainly, government employees across the board would not get any type of funding. Mainly, employees would not get paid at all. Services will be shut down. Essential services are in jeopardy. So I know you're asking what programs or services might stop. And the list is programs that basically help our unfortunate or less fortunate individuals.
Now I want to give credit to the original creators of the clips used in this video. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for subscribing, following, and sharing. See you on the next one, guys.